Hello everyone. Today's lesson 6, Toad in the Hole, with mashed potatoes, caramelised carrots and onion gravy. My Yorkshire puddings are absolutely awful. The whole family will be in hoots of laughter at me actually trying to make this, although I do make it quite often for the family in the winter because it's very filling and it goes a long way. The full recipe will feed a family of 4 or 6. I've halved the recipe because it's just for me and Mark, although only I eat it because Mark hates Yorkshires. And I've made a big mistake because I only used 2 of the eggs halving the recipe and it really needed the 3. Good luck with it. It was yummy. The onion gravy was delicious. So on you go, or as they say here, on y va. Today's recipe is toad in the hole, basically sausages in Yorkshire pudding with mashed potatoes, carrots and onion gravy. The ingredients are 4 eggs, 2 cups of plain flour, 2 cups of milk, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, salt, pepper, dried or fresh thyme, 1 onion, potatoes, 1 carrot each, sausages, 3 for the men, 2 for the women and 1 for children. Here are the physical ingredients. We've got the eggs, so we need 4 of those, 2 cups of plain flour, 2 cups of milk, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, salt and pepper, dried or fresh thyme, there's the fresh thyme just there, sausages, we've got big fat juicy ones, potatoes, we've just got 1 each, that'll be enough for us, an onion and 2 carrots. Okay, there's a lot going to go on now for this moment in time. First of all, I'm going to cook the sausage. I'm only going to brown them in the frying pan because I find in the batter they don't actually brown and they look a bit insipid. So first of all, prick your sausages with a fork to break the skin, otherwise they're going to burst when you get them in the pan. I've already got a pan of oil heating.
Oh, listen to that sizzling.
Yes, John, you love a sausage, don't you, darling? I like a sausage too. So,
there's no answer to that one.
These sausages, I keep saying I'm lucky because I am truly blessed. We live in the middle of the French countryside with people with fresh produce all around us, people who raise ducks, chickens, and a fabulous couple at the end of the village, and he used to be a butcher, so he's actually making mixed sausages, English style. These are Cumberland, Mark's favourite. And what we're going to do today, because Mark's not very keen on Yorkshire pudding, hence toad in the hole. So I'm going to put 2 in this little dish for myself. Here, darling, here. 2 in this little dish for myself with the batter. It's already got a spoonful of oil in there. And he will just have ordinary sausage and mash. I'm ready to make the batter, so I've got my flour, salt and pepper in the bowl, and I'm going to add, I'm halving the recipe because it's just the 2 of us, so I'm going to use 1 cup of flour, the salt and pepper is the same, and 2 eggs. This little plate here was my granddaughter Kerry's, so I thought I'd better mention that, otherwise she'll be wondering why I haven't told everyone. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the 2 eggs in. And a cup of milk. I'm going to mix it first with a fork to sort of mix it all in and try not to have any lumps in it. But the lumps will cook out anyway, I find. And so scrape all the sides off. So that's mixed through with a fork, and now I'm going to whisk it. You can do this with a hand whisk, but don't over whisk, because apparently it's the whites of the eggs make it rise. I didn't know that until recently. So just beat it through now. Now I like my Yorkshires with the herbs in, so I put some thyme in. You can put dried or fresh thyme in, and I put half an onion in. But I don't actually do that until I pour it into the dish. Now I like mine to sit for about 10-15 minutes in the fridge. So that's done now for 10 or 15 minutes. I can concentrate on the sausage. So Yorkshire mixture is now in the fridge. And I'm just cooking these off. You don't want them on too high at least, because if they're really nice big ones like this, they'll be in skin, and you don't want to burst the skins. You need to put the oven on to 280 degrees, so basically just one notch down on the highest setting of your oven, because the batter mixture is going to a really hot oven, and we're actually going to put the dish into the oven, so that it heats that oil, so that when that Yorkshire hits that, it's going to be absolutely sizzling. Because the mixture is a bit much for me, one person on its own, even though I've halved the mixture, what I've done, I put some oil ready into a cake tin, and I'm going to make 6 in there, so that you have little Yorkshire puddings to go alongside, or you can freeze them for, a roast beef dinner or something. I've peeled an onion, obviously the outer skin in the bin, and the next skin for our veggie stock later on. I've got one onion and I'm cutting it in half, because I want one half in my Yorkshire pudding and I want the other half for our onion gravy. I like to slice this into rings.
Could be half rings, Fanny.
Half ring? No, that's a whole ring, darling. Surely that could be a half ring. That's a half ring. Right, so you can have a look at the sausages, Johnny, darling. You can see they're quite well browned, and I've done that deliberately because I'm going to cook the onions in the same pan, and I'm going to sort of not quite burn them, but almost, because that's going to be our onion gravy, and we want some colour for the gravy. I use gravy browning, but if I can get away with not using gravy browning, I don't. Stock cubes are no good for this, because they're either beef, chicken or vegetable, and you want it to taste of the sausages. So unless, I don't know whether in England you can actually get a pre-made sausage gravy anymore, but so I'm going to try and make it dark anyway. Okay, so I'm just opening up the rings so that they're just like that. I probably need another splush of oil in there. I've put, it's just ordinary vegetable oil today, but I'm actually going to put a little bit of butter in with mine, being the Dairy Queen. And I need to use up the butter from yesterday for that I used in the paratha. So that should make it burn even more, I think. Go. Right, so we've got what I've done with my sausage. I've cut one of the big ones in half, and I've left the little one as it is. You can see they're not cooked through, they're still pink, but in the cooking of the Yorkshire pudding around it, they will cook through, because they're going to be in the oven for another 30 to 35 minutes. Okay. Just had a horrible thought, Johnny. I thought we'd run out of gas then. You wouldn't have been happy then, would you, Johnny, if we'd run out of gas?
No.
Yeah. Johnny's still in his pyjamas, by the way. He needs a couple of weeks to get into the hour forward lark. But luckily we're on lockdown, so it's...
It don't matter.
It don't matter. No, we can do what we like. We can be in our pyjamas indefinitely, basically, and save on the washing. Would you like that, Johnny?
No comment.
No comment. Oh, okay. Yesterday I forgot to tell you that I put our photos on the beginning of the recipe for you to see what we look like when we clean and tidy rather than in lockdown, and what we look like when we have to go out. We don't look like that every day. And I also put on there Fanny and Johnny Craddock for you to see the comparison. They were hilarious, but Johnny, I think they were both alcoholic actually, but on screen Fanny held her drink better. A bit like us really, Johnny.
Yeah, I suppose.
Right, now I'm going to cook those until they're almost brown. I don't want them burnt, but I want them brown for the colour in the gravy. As you can see, the onions are browning now, so they should give the gravy a bit of colour a bit later on. We've got a few more minutes to go, so I'll come back to the gravy when it's time. Then over here, I've now got my sausages in my dish. I've got the thyme in the dish, and I've now got the chopped onion to add to that. This is chopped up finely because it's going to go through the Yorkshire. And I'm going to put that into the, which is now heated oven, for about 5-10 minutes until it's absolutely bubbling hot. Same with the bun tin, because I want the both things absolutely boiling before I pour in the Yorkshire mixture. I've got a bowl of cold water, or you can just have a saucepan of cold water, because normally root vegetables like potatoes, carrots need to be kept in cold water or they discolour. Carrots not so bad, potatoes go brown. So I'm peeling my carrots and my potato peeler onto my veggie stock, my veggie pile.
This is an awkward moment because baby, our Cocker Spaniel, as you can see there, it's her favourite thing, carrots. So she's in the middle of us now, trying to push me out the way so she can get at the carrots.
That's true actually. She doesn't leave my side in the kitchen just in case something drops. Okay, with the carrots, as a family we're a bit odd in that we have to have carrots cut in special ways. So once it's peeled, you top and tail it, so both ends. Now this is where baby gets to benefit, so the bottom end she gets to have. Now if it's a formal dinner like Christmas or anything, we cut the carrots into strips. So formal dinners, Sunday dinners, into strips.
They'll be called battens.
Oh, battens, darling, of course, battens. Oh God, you're so clever. And I allow 1 carrot per person. It's not formal dinner today, but I thought I'd just show you the different ones. Then if it's a soup or something, we just cut it into rough chunks. We cut them quite thickly. This is where baby profits and they all fall on the floor quite thickly. But today, because I'm going to caramelise them, top and tail, baby gets the bottom. I'm going to do them in long diagonals.
Longer do?
Sort of diagonals, nice little shapes really. Because I find that with the caramelising, they take the caramel even better. And I'm not going to boil the carrots, I'm going to do them French style. So they all go in there. I'm actually going to caramelise all of those. I think I can get 1 more out of that. Yeah, there it goes. And these little bits now, I trim. For baby who's now starting to cry for stuff. There you go. Okay. And they're going to go in her bowl. They're not for eating today, they're all the bits and pieces in her bowl. Okay, now we're going to do the potatoes. So peel those with my trusty potato peeler. Again, because the majority of the goodness in root vegetables is just under the skin. So you don't want to peel chunks off your potatoes. I'm going to put these into the same water as the carrots to save washing up. And we can come back to those in a little while. Hang on, I just cut them. Because they're going to be mashed potatoes, try and cut them into equal sized pieces. Got a bit of yuck on it, so I'll get that one. Yeah, that means that the dishes in the oven are bubbling hot, ready for the Yorkshire mixture to go in. Okay, so they go into the water as well. And I'm just going to get my Yorkshire mixture out of the fridge. Right, so there are the potatoes and the carrots all prepped. And all of our peelings are now in the bag for the veggie stock. As you can see, we're getting quite a lot in there now. Almost ready to make that stock. Okay, the sausage and the onions have been in the oven and they're actually smoking hot. So I'm going to cover it with the mixture. With a bit of luck, this is going to rise up and be over the edge of the thing, of the dish. So I'm going to put that back in now to my very, very hot oven.
My baby.
Right, baby. And in the bun tin or muffin tin, I'm pouring a bit in each of these 6 holes. I would be doing this with a jug, but as you know, my sourdough starter's taken over the life of my jugs. They need to be about half filled. I'm going to start a war now because the best Yorkshire pudding maker in the family is my son-in-law Russell. My son John would say he's the best. My grandson Rodri would say he's the best. I never say I'm the best because I'm mediocre. So, okay, that's all of the mixture. So that was enough for 2 people. And that's going to go into the hot oven now, so I can not burn myself. And the Yorkshires are now going to be in there for about 30 to 35 minutes, but have a look at them at about 20. If you've got one of those nice oven doors that you can see through with the light on, don't open the door, because with baking, if any cold air gets in there, it'll stop rising, and you want it to be really high, right up and high and fluffy. I've got the potatoes on. Potatoes go into cold water. I put a teaspoonful of salt in there, and I've put them on because I want the water for the gravy today, because potato water is fine for gravy. I'm going to caramelise the carrots, so they're going to go on in a minute, and I'll show you what to do with that one. Okay, I'm going to make the gravy now. So I've added 1 tablespoon of plain flour to the frying pan, where you've got the fat from the sausages and my slightly browned onions. So I'm going to make a roux, which is basically mixing the flour with any fat, a roux mixture of the flour and fat or butter, whatever you want to use. It's good to use the juices because then you've got all that lovely flavour in there as well. It's on a high heat, that was. Now I'm turning it down to quite low because I don't want it to burn. And I'm going to add some of the potato water. The potatoes are not quite ready yet, but I can steal some of that water to get this going. We've only got a few minutes left, so there you go. Now it's only gravy for me, but I do love it, so it doesn't matter if it's a bit much. It's not cooked yet because it needs a bit more of the potato water, and then it'll be done. I'll boil it for at least 1 minute to cook the flour out, and then it's ready. It's not too dark, but some of the colour might come off those onions yet. Okay, there's the gravy. I'm just going to add some of the potato water in because the potatoes are done. I think that's all that's left in there. Then Mark, alias Johnny, is going to mash the potatoes because he's better at it than me, and because of my weak wrists, and he hates lumps. So that's going to come to the boil. You can see it's darkened a little bit there because of the onions. And one of the things I need to tell you is that I tend to undersalt. So if you taste and adjust to your taste, okay? Because the only salt that's in there at the moment is the salt from the potatoes, which was a teaspoonful. So I'll be tasting this in a minute, and I'll probably add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. In fact, I'm going to do that now because I've already tasted it. So just a little bit of salt, not too much, because I work on the assumption that you can always add it but you can't take it out. And a lot of you have got children, maybe babies, so you know you don't want too much salt in there for them. Okay. Now that's going to boil for a minute. It's just started to come to the boil properly. To cook the flour out. Yeah, that's perfect. And because I like pepper, I'm going to just add a little bit of pepper. Mark hates gravy, so he's not having this. Oops, that may be a bit too much actually. Just a little bit of pepper. Okay, so I'm just going to boil that for 1 minute now, and then that'll be ready. Johnny's going to mash the potatoes. So we've got the potatoes and a couple of knobs of butter in there. He's going to be whinging in a minute because the saucepan's too small.
Saucepan's too small.
Can't say that then, Johnny. And he's going to have a little bit of cream in there as well. You can add milk. You could add olive oil if you're lactose free. It'll be the same effect. So there he is now, busy mashing. He's going all over the counter, but we'll sort that out in a minute. And it's going to be a really smooth, lovely mashed potato. Thank you so much, Johnny, for doing that for me. Okay, to caramelise the carrots, in the frying pan I've got a knob of butter about 1 ounce and a teaspoonful of sugar. The carrots are going to go into that once it's melted, and I'll show you what happens after that. Usually we just have this shape because the caramel takes really well to that shape, but as you know, because I've shown you what we do for high days and holidays and for soups and everyday use, you've got a bit of a mixture of carrots in there. As you can see, the carrots are bubbling away in the butter and sugar, and what's going to happen with that, the sugar is going to caramelise with the butter, but the carrots won't actually be cooked through because they're quite thick. So I'm going to add half a cup of water to that. So half a cup of water going in, and that's going to boil off, and by the time it's boiled off, the carrots will be cooked. The French usually cook all their vegetables in frying pans or open pans. When they call our method of cooking à l'anglaise, the English way, but they believe that all of the goodness is boiled out of the vegetables, and I tend to agree with them, which is why I like vegetables, with the exception of potatoes, al dente or with a bit of bite to them. I'm just covering mine over with a lid with holes in, and not quite covering it over, just for that water to evaporate off and for it to caramelise again. It should take about 10 minutes. I've just realised that everything takes just about 10 minutes. So there are the carrots with all of the water boiled off, and you can see it's all nice and caramelised. So they're done. Again, like yesterday, just push a knife through. If there's resistance, it's not cooked. If there's no resistance, it is cooked. Now I like in the carrots a little bit of the resistance because I like them just with a bit of bite in them. So there we are, all ready to go. So here's the the toad in the hole out of the oven. You can see it's all bubbling. It hasn't risen as I thought, and I think that's because I halved the recipe and only used 2 eggs. So I think if you halve the recipe, use 3 eggs, not just 2. And my whole family will be in hoots of laughter because this is typical of my Yorkshires. They haven't risen at all really, although they've risen by half, I suppose, so it's not so bad. So they can, when they're cooled, you can freeze the 6 small ones, or you can eat them. And the toad in the hole, it'll be yummy later on. There's the finished gravy, nicely dark with those onions in. That'd be absolutely delicious on that mashed potato. There we are, all ready to eat. We have toad in the hole with caramelised carrots, mashed potatoes and the onion gravy, and Mark's having just ordinary sausage and mash. If you don't like carrots, use green peas, use anything you like. Bon appetit!